The Honourable Member, Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
You're welcome.
Mr Speaker, I came to Parliament to represent an electorate, the Rangatiki, that is very dependent on the well-being of animals, the welfare of animals and the health of its animals to make its living. I've spent, interestingly, much of my life involved in sport and business that is dependent on animals for its survival. Mr Speaker, I'd go so far as to say that many of my best friends have been animals. That's because they can be trusted, they are faithful, they are sympathetic, and they're always there when needed. Mr Speaker, there is the odd human that just demonstrates the same traits.
Name one.
Mr Speaker, this bill is name one. This bill is an enabler. It enables us to build a more competitive, productive economy, creates suitable legislation to ensure animals are treated well, to become world leaders in welfare and animal welfare, which we surely must be. But I want to touch on three things, Mr Speaker. One is our pets. We own pets with confidence, and this bill enables that. Did you know that 68% of all New Zealand households have a pet? That's an amazing statistic. Everything from a donkey to a mouse, from a cat to a bird. And the fact that we have cats and birds as pets make the call of Gareth Morgan a little hard to follow until one realises that many of those pet cats that are so-called loved by New Zealand citizens are then dumped in the wild. This is what creates most of our problem with our wild cats, the fact that people don't look after their pets properly. As I've said, this bill is an enabler, and by containing many of its tools in regulation, it allows welfare standards to evolve more freely with societal expectation, science, current practice and technology. The world is evolving and changing so quickly, I can understand the need for this. Mr Speaker, I want to talk briefly about standards applying to the live export of animals. We must remember that the racing industry, the thoroughbred breeding industry and the horse industry wouldn't survive in this country at all were it not for the live export of animals. The dairy industry, exporting a considerable number of animals around the world at the moment, at significant benefit to that industry. And so as we work our way through the standards for live export, we need to be very cautious that we don't compromise the good parts of that export industry. I want to talk briefly about fireworks, Mr Speaker. I don't like the way we let off fireworks around this country. I think it's particularly relevant or pertinent when one talks about the animal welfare in this country, and I think that in the course of this bill we should deal with this issue to the best effect we can, because there's no question in my mind that fireworks are extremely intimidating for animals. We've talked about the psychoactive substance testing at length this morning. I tend to agree with most of what is said, although I did hear a fellow on a relatively well-known TV program not very far from here a few weeks ago offering to test himself, provided we paid him enough money to do it. I thought it was quite good, actually. I think he would have failed the test at the time. So, Mr Speaker, I've got no problem supporting this bill. I think it's fantastic. It provides clarity and the tools to ensure the integrity of our export industry. And finally, Mr Speaker, the way we treat our animals measures us as a nation. If we can treat our animals well, one will live at ease with fellow human beings. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Understand this is